and I don't lengthen femurs. You know, I've only mainly done the forefoot or the bones in the foot, and essentially these bones. But in this patient's case, you know, when you end up lengthening the bone, you're not lengthening the muscles. The muscles that are all attached to the joints and everywhere around it, you're not lengthening the soft tissues. Now, there are procedures to lengthen the tendons and whatnot. However, it doesn't appear that they're doing that concurrently. And you know, at a certain point, there will be a maximal trade-off limit point where the muscles are getting a little bit too taut or too strained due to the increased length of that bone.
Yeah.
And
so then that could have a negative impact on mobility. That could put you not only for higher risk of a potential fracture because your bone is unnaturally longer than your body kind of wants it to be, but I don't know, maybe
tears,
tears, ruptures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess to pay for a higher risk of injury seems like a very American thing to do.
Well, so this procedure is actually, if I may, if I remember correctly, it's a Russian procedure.
Yep. Yeah.
The Elizarov distraction, and yeah, a lot of interesting things come out of their medical research.
It's funny you say that because when I was searching for just crazy videos to pull up for this episode, the first one that I saw was from maybe 10 years ago, and it was Russian doctors. And his case was like, we can do breast augmentation, people get lip fillers. And so why is it so crazy that somebody would get their legs lengthened? You know, I guess I get it from that perspective, but it just seems, even in those cases, I would say, just learn to accept yourself. Like, why are you filling yourself with all those toxic chemicals? Just, you know.
Right. The unnecessary, undue stress on the body, you know, it's still going to be 6 to 8 weeks for this guy to heal the bone. You know, regardless, you've broken a bone, whether it was due to trauma or a surgeon, you broke it. It needs to heal. It's going to take some time. And yeah, it's not going to be pain-free. We'll put it that way.
Well, the next video that I'm going to pull up is maybe a little more visually jarring than the one that I just showed. So this is definitely more of a visual episode for the audio listeners out there. But if you are watching this, if you are squeamish at all, fair warning.
Joe, where did it land?
Oh, my God.
Joe, where did it land? Joe, where did it land?
Right below the knee. Right below the knee. And it immediately
leg snaps completely in half.
Look at this.
I'm not going to look, Joe. Just tell me.
And then he plants. And then that's the worst part to look at. When he plants on it, and it just,
and he's expecting solid ground and like squish. Wait a minute,
his face doesn't even move after it snaps.
It probably doesn't register. I mean,
it doesn't register, and then right there, man, that is tough to look at. So this seems like a perfect opportunity for this guy to get the leg lengthening surgery. His leg is already broken.
Right, there you go. Just clean up those bone edges and we'll be good.
Oh God, man. That is rough. All right. So what are your thoughts when you see an injury like that?
Is there a pension when you work for MMA stuff? Because there's disability, I'm sure, right? Oh man, because it's gonna be a interesting road for this young man.
Well, according to the guy who owns the UFC, they do put tons of money into taking care of their fighters medically. And I forget the name of that particular fighter, but Conor McGregor, who's much more well known. I was watching a fight maybe 3 years ago where that happened to him. It was higher up on the leg, so it was like right in the middle, snapped in half. During the first round, they had to basically cart him out. And supposedly, I guess he was supposed to come back and fight on the 29th, and he just backed out. And he looked all juiced up. beefed up, you know, from probably performance enhancing drugs and all that, but he still backed out. I I mean, if that were me, I'd be seriously concerned for the rest of my life about getting in the octagon and using that leg at all. I mean, would that be a legitimate concern if that leg is broken before? I don't know if this is true, but I heard that once a leg or once a bone breaks and then it repairs, it's maybe stronger than it ever was before. Is that just like a fake rumor kind
Yeah.
of thing?
I've seen, we'll put it this way, everyone's a little bit different, right? I know it's a cliche sort of answer, but I tend to say it's true. It all depends. When you break a bone, how it heals depends on what you do, and a lot of different factors: nutrition, your physical therapy afterwards. God forbid you had some complications, blood flow, oxygenation, all types of stuff. But we're coming to find out as time goes on, it's not as straightforward as we thought. There's a lot of other influential factors that go into healing and health and wellness in general.
What do you think about metal being in or on the bone? Because for me, I get sketched out about something like that. I know that, oh, what is it? Maybe it's with some of the, actually, it is the breast implants. I referred to breast
Mhm.
augmentation earlier. There's foreign object syndrome can happen in the
Mhm.
body. And I would imagine there's greater potential for infection from just something like that being in the body. Are those legitimate concerns?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to it, I think most people have, or I'd hope most people have some decent common sense with these sort of things. You know, you're putting something foreign in your body is likely going to recognize it as being foreign. Now, as time goes on and our medical technology and science gets a little bit more advanced, we are developing, or we have developed, composite materials that are more biocompatible. You won't be able to see them on x-rays, and your body ends up replacing that substance with natural bone over time, for example. um, However, the tried and true way to fix a bone fracture, for example, is with plates and screws, and they're obviously metal, right? Um, the metals we use for this kind of stuff is supposed to be biocompatible as well, meaning it's not going to react in the body and what have you. But I've taken out plenty of plates and screws that were put in by other surgeons that look corroded, or have some type of buildup on them, and just you can see that the bone was impacted differently than if it were to heal without those foreign bodies. That being said, if you need it, you need it, right? Like, I would rather have rather have plates in my bones than not be able to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. So my takeaway there is avoid breaking your leg.
There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
um, but I saw that not only in injuries like that, but even in the last video we watched where he's getting his leg extended, it seemed like they hollow out the bone in order to put rods in some cases. I would think you need
Mm.
that, right? Isn't that bone marrow in there
It
that
is
like
marrow. It
don't you
is
need
marrow.
that to have a healthy body?
You got an interesting point there, actually, and I'll be honest. I'll have to get back to you on that. But I imagine the amount of bone marrow, or the amount of space you're taking up with it's called an intermedullary rod. The amount of space it takes up, while significant, I'm not sure how significant it is as to your bone marrow potential, right? Bone marrow, we use it to make red blood cells, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you got two legs, you still have a decent number of long bones with a decent amount of marrow in it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to look into that. Yeah, it's bound to have some effect. That's my gut reaction.
Yeah.
Whether or not it is a statistically significant effect that is going to impact you long term, I don't know. We'd have to look at the research.
Hey, folks, just a quick pause on our discussion today because I have something important to share. You know that I'm always in front of screens because I do content creation, my health coaching is done online, I'm doing the podcast, I'm writing, all these different things. And that artificial light can be disruptive to the circadian rhythm, and that can impact your health pretty severely. So that's why I wear Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. It's not just a stylish accessory, but it's really a daily defense against eye strain, headaches, disrupted sleep schedules, and really that circadian rhythm that I'm trying to protect. So it does protect your eyes. It does improve your sleep. It does help maintain your circadian health. And honestly, I've experienced fewer headaches and just a better overall sense of my health. I feel healthier when I wear these. And yeah, they do look cool as well. I get compliments all the time, especially when I wear them out at a restaurant or something like that. So, for those who are looking to boost their health in this digital age, I've got some good news. As part of the Healthy and Awake community, you can get 15% off by going to the show notes, clicking the affiliate link, and using the coupon code Healthy and Awake with dashes. So that's healthy dash and dash awake. And you can get 15% off of these very cool Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. And that's a great way to enhance your daily health routine and your style. Now let's dive back into the episode. Well, this next question is kind of similar, and it might be putting you on the spot. So I don't, you might not have an answer for this, and that's fine.
I
But
always have
you
an
know,
answer.
my understanding is, and even in my experience, is that insurance doesn't always cover what's
Ooh.
best, right? It
Mhm.
covers, what's standard. And when you look at what is implanted in the leg, the metal rods are titanium or stainless steel typically.
Mhm.
If you were some kind of mega billionaire and you weren't using insurance, you broke your leg, you had the option to get it fixed with anything on earth that was available, would you still pick stainless steel or titanium, or would you say, maybe gold is more I don't know, would there be something else that you think might be more superior?
Um, yeah, of course. So it's never it's not elemental titanium. Now we're just being nerds now.
Mhm.
We're talking about alloys, right? Aerospace alloy or biomedical alloys, mixes of chromium, titanium, whatever EMs, several different EMs.
Plywood.
Yeah, plywood. Yeah, organic. That's what we're going for. Yeah,
Yeah,
if we're going for vegans, they love the plywood.
right?
um, no, yeah, it would be interesting to look into these different alloys and see what really is the most expensive one out there, and is there any real benefit to it? I imagine when it comes down to uh, creating an alloy, you're talking about the ductility, malleability, or the bendiness of it, tensile strength, weight, stuff like that. I mean, if you were a mega billionaire and you didn't pay and you weren't locked down by insurance and what have you, just get the Skynet leg, right? You're good. You're
Yeah,
good. AI it's all about AI nowadays.
bionic legs. I'm waiting for Elon Musk to come out with bionic legs.
You know what? Let's be honest. They already have him, right?
Yeah.
It's just you aren't the mega billionaire yet. So I mean, we got a little ways to go, I guess.
I think about that sort of thing a lot, and this is, I guess, a classical tech philosophical question. If you keep removing body parts and replacing them with biotech like that, you get the electronic legs and all that good stuff. At what point do you become not human? Because a lot of people, I think, might say, "Oh, well, the brain." So then what?
Mhm.
Human existence is reduced to just the brain, and I don't know. It's just not to go on a tangent there, but it brings up a whole interesting set of questions.
No, that's definitely a that's like a long discussion and debate that we would have for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would probably first consider the bionic eyeballs, if anything. I want the zoom. I don't want to put in contacts. I
Oh
think
man.
that would be interesting. But let's go to another video. This one is, I guess, kind of similar to the last one we saw. This is silent, but this is a football, and then boom. If you look closely, right there on the left, you can see the Achilles tendon rupture. So look at that calf. Boom.
Ooh, nice.
I'll play it again because you got to look close to see it.
You can see that
Yeah,
reverb.
you can see it like
Oh,
shoot up his leg.
yeah.
Right
Can
as
you
the
imagine how fast it's going when it actually snaps? To move in that sort of fashion in a slow-mo video?
right. Yeah, because it is in slow-mo, but it looks like it's moving really fast the way it
Yeah.
shoots up the leg. Have you ever done Achilles tendon surgery?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me what that's like.
Ruptures are pretty common. Actually, I have a similar anecdote, which I think would be a little bit more entertaining. But it's for a tendon in the front of the leg. So same sort of thing. The guy ended up with a ruptured tendon, a total rupture, meaning the tendon is completely separated from its origin and its extension, and it's just completely gone. And as you can see from the video, what happens, the thing's under tension, right? The muscle is under tension, is connecting to the bone with that piece of tendon right there.
Like
And
a
once
rubber
that
band.
ruptures, yeah, exactly. Once it ruptures, it just shoots back up the channel where it originates from, or where that muscle is supposed to go. So my anecdote, had a guy come into the hospital one day, and he's got his foot all bandaged up, and he is a window repair person. The story was he was carrying a pane of glass and drops it by accident, and it shatters on his leg and ends up severing the tendon in front of his leg that brings your foot up, okay? Tibialis anterior. I guess he didn't know anything was severed, because after dropping a pane of glass on his leg, he waited 2 weeks before going to the doctor, you know, um, as if, no longer being able to do this motion with your foot was not an indicator of something's going on. Yeah, so he waits 2 weeks, right? So what ends up happening is, so here's the leg, and he severs the tendon right here, and the muscle and everything contracts and retracts and goes all the way up to basically his knee. So we're in the surgery, we got big tongs like going up in there trying to find the tendon, and I can't find it. Finally, I clamp onto something I think is the tendon. We slowly retract it out, and it happens to be the tendon. But because it's been 2 weeks, the guy's missing this much now. Like,
Oh,
here's his foot with the little stubby end of a tendon, and then the one we stretched out, and it's like ping, and we're like, oh crap. So yeah, we you got to think on the fly, right? So we ended up spending 20 minutes stretching his tendon and his muscle, and we did a little procedure on the tendon to extend it a little bit, and we were able to bridge the gap. But yeah, to extend the tendon, we tagged it with suture and tied a device to it. I basically wore a sterile medical belt and attached his tendon to my belt and leaned back for 20 minutes. And slowly it relaxed and allowed the muscle to stretch out, and we were able to bridge the gap. Yeah, I had never done anything like that before. Probably won't ever have to again, but yeah, it worked.
do muscle relaxers have any kind of effect on tendons? And I'm asking that because I'm trying to think. I'm a creative problem solver, and I'm trying to imagine you rub some kind of topical on the leg that maybe reduces the tension in the tendon or anything like that. Do you know of anything like that?
So I mean, that's a good idea, actually. However, we're talking about, in this case, we're talking about a muscle tendon complex that is retracted due to atrophy, essentially, right?
Okay.
Like, it's not attached to anything. So how are you going to activate that muscle and work it out to maintain its strength? You can't. You can try all you want. Oh, lift my foot up, but it's not going to move because it's not attached. You may be contracting those muscle fibers, but they're not under any tension. There's no load on it. They're not going to be strengthening, you know. But yeah, muscle relaxers may have helped in the beginning, but at that point, to be honest, I don't think they'll do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got enough juice running anyways, you know. So
So moral of the story, if you get seriously injured near your foot or your ankle, you think you sliced something open, don't wait 2 weeks. You know,
just,
get it
you
seen
know,
sooner rather than later.
there you go. When in doubt, get checked out, right? Just go and just, you know, suck it up. Go to the emergency room, emergency department, and just get it checked out.
That's such a guy thing to do, is to just,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know what? I'm fine. You know, so what? I can't move my move my feet at all, or, you know, flex
I
in
didn't
any
need the
way."
right foot anyways. I had two, you know.
Well, let's look at one. This one might be a little bit tougher to look at for some people, but I've spent a lot of time working in a gym. I spent years as a personal trainer. I've seen a few injuries, thankfully, not too many. Uh, but some of the machines that they have in gyms, when somebody doesn't know what they're doing, when they're doing an ego lift, when they are trying to lift more than they should, but they have no serious foundation of strength, I know very well that that causes a high potential for injury, and add idiocy into the mix, and it might look something like this.
Whoa. Well,
So that's 400 kilograms. That's 800 and something pounds. Completely crushes his foot and ankles. I'm going to turn off the sound. It's disgusting to listen to. Yeah. So that's supposedly 800 pounds crushing between the machine and the heavy weights, crushing his feet completely, it looks like. And if they want to get that machine off of his crushed feet, they have to remove all of those plates and then pull the thing up. Normally, if somebody's lifting this much weight and they get stuck, you have the spotters there on the side. You know, assuming their feet or legs aren't broken, they can at least use a little bit of strength to push back the weight up, plus the assistance of the spotters. But he's poorly positioned on the machine. There seems to be no safety mechanism in place where he can lock it before an injury like that happens. And then it finally ends with completely crushing his feet, where that seems like a lot of broken bones to me. I don't know. What do you think?
I like how you put it. Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of broken bones for sure. Man, what are you gonna do? Like you said, this is an ego lift, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason he should be doing this, especially with. Now, I don't have the biggest legs in the world, but those look like kind of spindly legs for 880 pounds. You know, that's oh yeah.
Yeah.
His feet have turned to pancakes. There, or you know, meat juice inside there. Yeah, he's gonna have a little bit of trouble for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't even have big legs, so it doesn't seem like he's an experienced lifter. An experienced lifter would never do anything like this in the first place. The one, you know, I've never seen anything like this before, but what I've seen the most is people lock their legs out at the top of that movement, and it
Mhm.
hyperextends the legs, so they bend backwards and not the way they're supposed to, and
Oh man,
that looks very uncomfortable too.
I can imagine if your knees ended up hyperextending, you know, you lose all strength there, you lose all support for that 880 pounds. Can you imagine your legs are now bent backwards and the damn thing is now falling onto you? Yeah, that is a good one, also, man. Oh boy.
Well, I'll use this as an opportunity to say, you know, here at my business, Avantia Health Optimization, with board certified health coaches, we make sure that you're on the right path. You're not making mistakes like that, crushing your feet. Because a lot of people, they have no idea really of what they might want to do with their health, their fitness. They go to the gym, they start using machines. You know, most people aren't going to crush their feet with a machine like that. Most of the people I work with anyway.
Pretty
Um,
sensible, right? Yeah.
Right. But, you know, it still has potential. If you don't know what you're doing, these machines, the guided machines, can set you up for poor movement patterns, which could down the road cause potential for injury. So if you are looking for the help of a board certified health coach, your first session is only $1, so you can try it out, because I know a lot of people have not yet tried out health coaching. So you can go to mikevera.com or avantiahealthoptimization.com. We have testimonial videos there, and we've already helped a lot of people. So I think it's worth a shot. Hit us up, and you'll be speaking with me for the first session, and I'd be happy to work with you too. So check that out. And let's go into the next video. Let's take a shift away from some of this gruesome injury stuff and more into some surgery related stuff or hospital related stuff. So this is another one that gave me a laugh. And here, I'll just play it now.
Way too high.
So these surgeons and people on the team, they're having a great time there in the operating room.
Well, let's put it this way. I gotta, care for my own people. None of these are surgeons, right? None of these are surgeons. Yeah.
Well, this is the funniest part. I don't know if this is a surgeon or someone pretending to do something like that, but they're like, looks like she's almost doing a dance move with the knife there, which it's blurred out, but presumably this is someone's. Yeah, maybe this is someone's body. Presumably, it doesn't seem like this is like a practice procedure, because they're blurring it out, and she's singing along and doing dance moves with the surgical tools. The whole team seems like they're, I don't know, maybe
enjoying themselves at least, right?
I mean, this is the sort of activity you see in the club when they're taking shots, right? So I mean, I don't know how the surgery result turned out, but if I was on that operating table and the next day in the news that I saw this and I knew this was my operating team, I wouldn't be too thrilled. And it seems like it opens up, I mean, maybe potential for lawsuits, although I don't know exactly what the lawsuit would be. Well, I'll stop. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Mike, come on, seriously. Like you just mentioned, if you saw this, if this was you and you saw it on the news, you would be upset by it and worried. No. You're supposed to take the opposite stance. Like, you win, like they're done. Like, these people are done. It's a wrap. Like, this is completely like beyond. I don't even have words for it. It's horrible. Yeah, I'm curious to see how many people retain their jobs, or if the whole team was just scrubbed. This person's under anesthesia. Now, hold on. Maybe the patient signed a release and said, give me 50% of what you make off of this viral video, and they're cool with it. But yeah, short of that, I mean, it's definitely a lawsuit for sure.
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that the backup dancers here were specifically requested. You know what? I do not want this surgery unless there are backup twerking dancers in the operating room. Otherwise, I am not getting this procedure done.
Right.
With look like the Jay-Z sunglasses too, dancing and having a good time. I mean,
it's wrong on so many levels, obviously, but if for entertainment purposes, very entertaining for sure.
Yeah, that's somebody who loves their job, at least.
Or the complete opposite end of the spectrum, someone who doesn't give a crap at all about what they're doing and has no respect for the patient. We could go down that road too, but yeah, no, it's if that was me and I saw that video, honey, we win. Like, they're done. Like, that's horrible. Should never do that.
I also wonder what kind of surgery, because I mean, if it's maybe an Achilles tendon like we talked about, or some kind of somewhat standard procedure for some kind of injury, okay, that it's not quite as serious as something like this person's dying and this is a life-saving procedure. That would be, I think, particularly egregious.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you would hope that it's 2024. we should not have professionals being like that when you need professionals to work hard and diligently and do things properly. Like it's if it's a life-saving procedure, I would hope that the team that was on that procedure knows what the hell they're doing and is not worried about, how loud the volume is for their booty song.
Yeah. It actually, I have some thoughts that connect to the next video. So let me play this next video.
Oh no.
So this is Sony's new robot surgeon, basically doing hyper precise cuts and incisions. I think it's called Da Vinci or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. He sucks though. He sucks. Don't worry.
Coming for your job.
Wow, look at how thin that suture is. Is almost invisible to the naked eye, right?
Like spider silk.
Yeah.
So my question is, how are they going to train these robots to twerk during the procedure?
Oh,
that's
man.
obviously very essential. I'm expecting the robot to be dancing and moving around a little bit. Maybe you got to pay extra for that.
You know what? I'm wondering how much this gigantic horn costs. The horn must be huge.
That's the video trick that they use. It's not actually that impressive when you realize that they're using gigantic horn.
No, but it is very impressive, right? The level of he's using instruments to do his ties. Like the level of precision is incredible for sure. Now, I will say, when you engage a physician for their services, it's not only for their dexterity and manual technique. It is for their medical decision making as well, and the humanity and compassion that you're hoping to get from them, and their understanding of your particular situation and circumstances, just like how you work. It's all about connecting with that particular person and treating them as an individual and helping them do what they need to do. But technique wise, the robot is fantastic. Yeah, very impressive.
Well, they've had for a while now human controlled robots like that, where basically I'm imagining a PlayStation controller, and you can basically control the surgical tools that way, and supposedly it's more precise than the human hand itself. Any knowledge or experience or anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's obviously many manufacturers and all different sorts of devices and what have you, but when you mentioned that, the image that pops into my head is kind of like an arcade game where you got like a helmet or like a screen essentially, and it's kind of blacked out so you aren't distracted, and your controls are in front of you, and you're looking at a screen, and your controls are controlling the instruments, and it's much more precise. It's much more accurate. Think about if you do microsurgery. Think about every time your heart beats. Every time there's a beat in your heart, that contraction, the blood is forced out and into your blood vessels, and your hand is bound to. If you just watch it there, your hand will slowly have this pulsatile action where it's responding to the beat of your heart. Your breathing could change your accuracy and precision as well. Nerves, fatigue, all sorts of things. There's I work with an older guy. I don't know if he's still cutting, but he's an older surgeon who now almost exclusively uses a surgical assistant. He decides what happens, but the assist is the one who does the cutting, because he has recognized over time that his hands are not what they used to be. Father Time is a friend to no man, I guess. But as he got older, his hands started to shake. So he did the right thing, I think, to get someone in to do what he is unable to, yet still using his knowledge and experience to help the patient. So, yeah.
Well, here's probably the most important question that I've asked so far, and this is a very serious one. But if you're using, let's say hypothetically, you're using one of those surgical robots to assist you during the surgery, are you opting for a PS5 controller or an Xbox controller?
PlayStation, of course, Sony, man.
Well, you mentioned something about like putting the helmet on, and that when you said that, it made me think of the VR tech that we have now, virtual reality. And I know there have been some companies that have attempted to develop surgical training programs where you can basically be in this digital environment and it feels like you're there on some level and you can train people that way. I don't know how advanced that it would look today, but with the way technology continues to develop, I would imagine maybe in 5 years it can be pretty hard to distinguish the difference, or it might, accomplish enough to really simulate an actual surgery. What are your thoughts on something like that for the future of surgery and medicine?
Well, in med school, and I know for nursing clinicals, they we use simulation dummies also, right? We've had them for a very long time, and the whole point is to make things as real as possible. Because when you are in that real situation, for sure, like your heart's racing, adrenaline's pumping, and everyone gets nervous. Even today, after years of experience, still get nervous. There's case you can't help it, right? You know that this patient's life is on the line. They need your help, and you have to decide or make that decision now. I think the incorporating AR, VR into medical training is obviously the way of the future, and absolutely a huge benefit. Um, the more examples you have, the more exposure you have, the better.
Yeah, I would think AR is pretty huge because maybe you put on special glasses and you can get information in your field of view that you would not have had otherwise. I don't know, maybe it's reading some stats on your visual screen that might be very helpful. Maybe it even gives you tips that you might know even already, but it might be helpful for little like Clippy from Microsoft Word
There
pops
you go,
up.
that guy.
Hey,
Right.
hey, I see
Yeah.
you're trying to do this type of surgery. Would you like some
Kind of
advice
Prince,
on it?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. Absolutely. I think I would love something like that. AR glasses, that heads up display, which, whatever, someone's temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, and all types of information presented there, just to make things more efficient and streamlined. So you don't have to say, excuse me, nurse, I'm scrubbed in, I can't touch the chart. Can you flip to page 32 and figure out whatever? No, if you can retrieve that information immediately on your heads up display, that'd be fantastic for sure.
This is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, I guess, but I strongly believe that people like the Secret Service or the CIA, they have that tech already. They have glasses. You think about it from an infinite budget, having the highest tech in the world, much of it secret. It makes sense that they would focus on developing technology where they can, maybe they're looking at somebody and they can tell whether or not their heart rate is elevating, and that's cause for concern. Maybe he's a security risk. Why is he getting nervous like that? So I mean, I would imagine that there's probably something like that out there already. It's just a matter of not applying it to secret warfare related activities and actually trying to help people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going not going into conspiracies per se, but just going off of that whole concept. Like, we know for a fact there's technologies in the private sector that are much more advanced than what is readily available, right? I don't know, some estimates say 30 to 50 years more advanced. What we see today is 30 or 50 years behind what is actually available. That's huge.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff we'd be able to do. Where's my flying car at? But
Right.
I would imagine for the Secret Service, for example, it would be infinitely beneficial to have thermal imaging in a pair of glasses. Oh
Mm.
my God. You wouldn't have to call in a helicopter to go look for a guy who's hiding in the woods. You just press a button and, there you go. That'd be incredible for sure.
Yeah. All right, folks, that is the end of the episode. Unfortunately, when I was talking with Dr. Luck, there was a disruption in the internet connection, so we kind of ended abruptly. If you do want to learn more about Dr. Stephen Luck, I'll put stuff in the show notes below. Please remember to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple, or if you're watching this on Rumble or YouTube, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought, or if you had any questions based on what we talked about in this episode. And of course, it couldn't hurt to share it with your friends, those who maybe are awake, or those, of course, who are waking up.